Have you ever been in a difficult moment and immediately thought, what do I need to do to make this feeling go away? Or maybe you pick up the phone, you reach for food, you start cleaning, turn on the TV, call someone, or immediately try to solve the problem. Sometimes those things genuinely do support us, but sometimes, just sometimes, we're simply trying to get away from what we're feeling. Right? Let me repeat that. Sometimes those things genuinely support us, but sometimes, just sometimes, that we're just trying to avoid what we're feeling. And there's a big difference, and it's an important difference. So today, hi everyone, you are in Laura's Lane. I am Laura, and you are listening to episode 9 in the Awareness series. And today, we're exploring your superpower, choice. I'm so happy you're here. So, the third step in the lane reset method is choice. It's the ability to choose. But first, I want to make something like really, really clear. So the lane reset method, it's not about resetting your emotions or getting yourself back to a preferred state, right? It's about interrupting autopilot. It's interrupting autopilot just long enough so that we can reconnect with ourselves again and regain conscious choice. Big difference, conscious choice. So we're interrupting that autopilot, we're regaining conscious choice, and sometimes the conscious choice is to do nothing. Sometimes we need to stay exactly where we are, and we need to listen, and we need to feel, and we need to allow it, right? Sometimes we don't need to stuff it down. Sometimes we don't need to immediately distract. There is so much information that can be found if we allow ourselves to feel it. And on the flip side, we don't want to drown. So we don't need to sit there and ruminate forever and become the victim of ourselves. It's a balance. So how do we get to that conscious choice, right? Let's go back just a little bit. We're going to take a quick look at the lane reset method, the 4 steps really quickly. So it begins with pausing. We interrupt the automatic momentum, our automatic reactions, and we pause. And we allow, once we realize, oh yes, I paused here, then we allow and acknowledge what's actually here. What thoughts are here? What emotions are here? What am I feeling? What sensations? And what is the reality of what I'm dealing with? Okay, not avoidance, the reality of what we're dealing with. And this is without immediately trying to make it different, right? We're just acknowledging what is. And there's no timeline for this. This pause section, it could last just a breath. Or it might take a whole afternoon. You might be like, I need to just pause with this. A whole afternoon. And you get that if you want it, if you choose it consciously. You get to allow that a whole afternoon before you even respond. And it might just last a few moments or longer. I mean, it's not a race. This isn't a race. This is your life. It's not a race to get through all these steps. And what we're doing is we're learning to be with ourselves where we really are. And when we're ready, we get to choose. So the third step, we got pause, we got allow, now we're at choose. Choice begins with listening. It's not about asking, oh, what's the right thing to do? Or how can I make this feeling disappear? I want to get out of this feeling. It's really a much simpler question. And that is, what would support me right now? What would support me right now? Maybe you don't immediately know, and that's okay. Maybe you need to take some more breaths. Maybe you just need to sit with it. Maybe you need to get outside. Maybe you need to talk to somebody. Maybe you need to look at the story that you're telling yourself. Maybe you need expression. Conscious choice doesn't begin by forcing an answer. It begins by listening for one. It's a big difference. So we don't necessarily choose what we initially feel. Something happens and then perhaps maybe anger appears or fear or sadness, frustration. Our mind can immediately produce a thought or a story. The choice isn't always what you feel. The choice is what you do with what you feel, right? Let's go back with that one again. Choice isn't about what you feel. The choice is what you do with what you feel. And even then, you don't have to decide immediately. Sometimes the first conscious choice is, I gotta give this some time. I gotta give this some space. Staying in the allow phase is a choice, and that's important. Allowing is not a step that we're trying to escape. So maybe you're sad. Maybe something happened that really deserves sadness. Maybe you need to cry. Maybe you need to be silent. Maybe you don't understand what you're feeling. That's okay. You're just not there yet. You don't have to rush yourself into changing it. You can consciously choose, I'm going to stay here for just a little bit longer. Your emotions and reactions may be offering you guideposts. And if we're rushing to make them disappear, we may miss what they're trying to tell us, what they're trying to show us. So the 5 paths that I'm about to share with you are not 5 ways to escape an uncomfortable feeling. Remember that. They are not ways to escape discomfort. There are 5 possible directions that you can explore when you are ready to move past allow, to choose something. Okay? It's a big deal. We don't want to just stuff things down. We don't, what do they call that? Spiritual bypass, or, stuffing down those emotions. Those little stinkers will pop back up, won't they? So the 5 paths that you can explore when you're ready to move on past the allow phase and on to choose. There's no order, there's no best path, and you really don't have to choose one at all. But let's start, just to give them some order here. Path 1, returning to your body. What does that mean? Sometimes we're completely caught in our thoughts. I know I'm totally guilty with this. I'll replay things, I'll predict, I'll analyze, judge. But returning to the body might mean taking like a few conscious breaths, maybe. Getting out of your head, stretching, walking, putting your feet on the ground and earthing. Noticing where tension is in your body, maybe dancing it out. Maybe you need to rest, take a nap, or place a hand on your heart. You're not using your body to make an emotion disappear. You're reconnecting with the part of you that's actually here right now. Okay? And that's only a few of the options within that first path. Second path is shifting your environment. This one's actually pretty easy. It's very effective. Sometimes our environment is what's adding to what we're experiencing. Maybe you've been inside all day or staring at a screen for hours. You might step outside then. Open up a window, get some fresh air, sit in the sunshine, walk in nature, light a candle, take a shower, change rooms. Even just changing rooms, I'm telling you, it works. Turn down the noise. That's really a great option. There's many people I know that they constantly have to have TVs and noise or whatever. It's like they can't be alone with their own thoughts. So if you're one of those people, it's not to shame you. It's an opportunity to say, wow, maybe I want to try that. Maybe turn down the noise. Sometimes changing what's around us just creates enough space for us to hear what's happening within us. All that stuff is very valid. I don't know why I can't talk today. Sorry. So the third path is connection. Now, sometimes we don't need to process everything alone, right? Maybe it would be great if you had some support. You could call someone that you trust, talk with a loved one, reach out to a friend, maybe even connect with a support group or a therapist. Sometimes, though, we don't need advice. We don't need somebody to fix anything. We just need another human being to listen. Maybe even to nod and say, yeah, I get it. I hear you. Fourth path, changing the conversation. So sometimes additional suffering actually comes from the conversations that we're having with ourselves about what happened. Sound familiar? Maybe you made a mistake and your mind just keeps going, I always screw things up, or someone doesn't respond the way that you think they should, and they must be upset with me. Right? Changing the conversation doesn't mean pretending everything is wonderful or positive, trying to think yourself out of reality. It just means getting curious. Is what you're thinking true? What do I actually know? Is there another perspective? How would I speak to someone I love in this situation? Maybe you journal. Maybe you speak more kindly to yourself. Ah, I love that one. That's a good one to start with, right? Maybe you just simply notice, wow, listen to the way that I am talking to myself and just acknowledge it. Hopefully that helps to shift it. Sometimes that awareness just begins to change the conversation. And there's still another path, path 5. So that's inviting in joy or expression. Sometimes what wants to happen is expression, music, laughter, painting, writing, singing, dancing, creating, crying, playing. Joy and expression, it doesn't mean that you're pretending you're happy. You can be grieving and still laugh, okay? You can have a difficult day and still let music move you, move through you. Joy doesn't have to erase pain. Sometimes both can exist in the same moment, in the same space. So let's think of an example. Imagine like you've had a difficult conversation with someone that you love and you're hurt. And your mind immediately wants to maybe send another text or defend yourself, explain yourself, or just fix the situation right away. How about first you pause and you say, okay, hold on. And then maybe you decide not to send anything yet. You're like, let me pause here. And then you allow and you say, God, I'm really hurt. I'm really angry. I'm totally disappointed here. And then maybe tears come and maybe you sit there for a while. There's no rush. You're human. You deserve this. You allow this. And then when you're ready, you're like, yeah, I need to choose something else here. What would support me right now? And maybe it's returning to the body. So you take a walk. And maybe it's shifting the environment. So you step outside, get the sun on your face or the rain. Maybe you need to connect. So you call someone that you trust. Or it's changing the conversation and you realize you're making tons of assumptions about what the other person meant. Maybe it's joy or expression and you put on some music and dance it out. Or maybe you realize, you know what? I'm not ready to do any of that yet. And you stay in the allow phase, and that's okay. Choice isn't about getting it right. You don't have to choose perfectly. You might think you need a walk and halfway through going, yep, nope, this ain't working. It's not what I need. Okay, well, that's great information. So now maybe you realize I need some connection, or maybe it's quiet. Maybe you realize I just need to breathe a little bit more. The lane reset method isn't a test. It's a way to support your learning. You're learning to listen to yourself. And listening is an ongoing conversation. It's always changing, right? A simple practice. So the next time you notice yourself reacting automatically, pause. Take a breath. Allow yourself to acknowledge what is here, what is going on, how do I feel, what am I thinking, where is it in my body? And then when you're ready, ask, what would support me right now? The body, shifting environment, connecting, changing what's going on in my head, expression, joy, or do you need to stay here a little bit longer? None of this is about rushing. It's about listening. And when something feels supportive, you choose it. And then we engage with it. Choosing isn't the end of the method. We can spend a lot of time thinking about what might help us and get stuck up here, right? Sorry, I keep doing this. I don't mean that. Stuck up in the head. But eventually when we're ready, we're actually, we take the step. That's engaging. If you choose a walk, then put those shoes on. If you choose, I need to connect, then make that phone call. If you choose journaling, open up the journal. And if you choose to remain and allow, then that might mean simply sitting quietly and giving yourself the space that you need. And if what you choose doesn't support you the way that you thought it would, well, no problem. Just choose something else. Choose again. So we'll explore that in the next episode. We'll go through the engage steps. Just choice isn't about controlling every moment, okay? And it isn't about controlling every feeling. Ugh, we don't want to do that. but it's remembering that when you're ready, there may be more than one way to move forward. And sometimes the most conscious choice is giving yourself permission not to move yet. So here's your reflection question. When you ask yourself, what would support me right now? What do you notice? What would support you right now? You don't have to be going through a difficult moment to ask this question. And you don't have to answer it immediately. Just listen. It'll come to you. So if today's topic resonated with you and you'd like to explore it just a little bit more, the Empowered Lane Workbook is a companion to the journey. Inside it, you'll find the Lane Reset Method, which I've been talking about, the 5 reset paths, awareness practices, and it has reflection prompts that help you create your own personal system. And you'll find the link below. I also recommend this if you are a parent. This is great to work on with your kids and have them create their own system. Because this really isn't taught in schools. Many times it's overlooked, so it's very empowering. And you'll find the link below. And if you're looking for a gentle way to end your day, I have a 5-minute evening reset that's free. You'll find that link below as well. And I'd love to have you join me in the next Awareness Lane episode. And that's exactly where we're going to explore the final step. Dun, 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 engage. Because it's one thing to recognize that we have choice, and it's another one to actually step into it. Take the choice that we've made, right? So thank you for spending these moments with me. And just remember, pause, allow, choose, engage. It's one moment, one breath, one choice at a time. And that makes you part of the Now Moment movement. And it's so important. So until next time, cheers to you from my iced tea to yours. Stay open, stay authentic, stay present, and I will see you soon. Ciao for now.